Welcome to HEA's HypnoConnect, the podcast by the Hypnosis Education Association. Real conversations, expert insights, and meaningful connection. Brought to you by HypnoBiz in a Box, the ultimate all-in-one hypnosis business platform. Let's get to it.
All righty, so we are going to hand this over to Joe in just a moment. I just wanted to thank him for coming with such a pertinent topic. We've had discussions that have come in and out over the last few months in HypnoConnect and other places about how important, well, how actually not just important, that lucrative and corporations are asking for what we have. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it is true.
Yeah, so really excited to hear what you have to share with our people who are watching live and people on the replay. And I'll just say, if you're watching live or on the replay and you've got questions for Joe, please do drop them. We are streaming live in the group. So if you've got questions, drop them. We'll make sure that Joe sees those too. All right. And so with that, we'd love to hand the reins over to you. Let me just make sure that you do have.
And I'd like to note also that if you have questions when you're watching the replay, tag Joe in those questions so that he can see them faster. But we will make sure that he sees those so that he can have an opportunity to answer your questions.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, first, I'd like to just start off by thanking Melanie and Sean for having me here. And I'm excited to just kind of dive into some of the research that I've actually been doing over the past few months. So today we'll be discussing leveraging hypnosis for enhanced corporate wellness, to improve employee health, reduce stress, and to boost productivity. And without further ado, let me just share my screen here. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
We sure can. It looks great. Thanks.
All right. Perfect. So tonight's agenda, I'll start off by introducing myself, a little bit about me, not too much, an introduction to this research, current state of affairs, hypnosis as the solution. What is hypnosis for good measure? Integrating hypnosis into corporate wellness programs, and then the potential benefits and ROI. And then I'll open up the floor for some Q&A. So let's get started. All right, a little bit about me. So my name is Joe Garcia. I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I am a graduate of the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. They're based out of Tampa, Florida. I have over 500 hours of training in hypnotherapy. But before I got into hypnotherapy, I've been in business for over 15 years. I was in business development. I've done sales. I've done inside sales, outside sales, training, management, vice president of training department, startup. So I've done a lot of business in my career. And really, it wasn't until hypnotherapy kind of came into my life that I had this shift that I wanted to move into something where I felt like I was going to be able to help people on a much more profound level. But I was kind of iffy about whether or not I wanted to utilize all my business background. I didn't want to be seen as like, oh, he's just a business guy. He can't help me, right? But what I found is that we attract who we are, right? So I've attracted a lot of business clients in my practice. And what I found is that even though we're dealing with business professionals, the issues run deep, and we still get to do all of the healing work that we got into hypnotherapy for. So that's a little bit about me. My mission is to empower individuals to unlock their limitless potential of their subconscious minds so that they can create a life of freedom, to live the life that they desire. So the purpose of this and how this all got started was, as a DBA student, before I got into hypnotherapy, I had already started my doctoral business administration. And I'm the kind of person that if I start something, I'm going to finish it. So here we are today. I'm in my final class of my DBA, month away from graduation with my doctoral. And I wanted to implement, thank you. I appreciate it. So I wanted to do something that was going to be going towards my work. You know, as a hypnotherapist, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. So I wanted to contribute to the research in the field of hypnosis. And to do that, I knew I could use this as a way to do some research and to actually put hypnosis to the test and to see the impact that hypnotherapy could have on employee well-being and performance in corporate environments. Now, this pilot study, so this is still going on. We're ongoing. I've worked with several organizations now. Final verdict isn't out. However, it is looking very promising. We are seeing good results, and the employees are just really loving it so far. So, with the University of the Incarnate Word, as going through all of the whole research process. So as we continue, why does this matter? It matters because the World Health Organization estimates that stress-related illnesses are costing businesses over $1.3 trillion globally. 83% of US workers suffer from work-related stress. 25% of employees actually stated that work is their number one stress in their lives. And it costs up to $300 billion annually due to absenteeism, reduced productivity, and employee turnover. And not only that, but employees want more. They deserve more, and they're asking for it. Employees are increasingly seeking for more comprehensive wellness programs that address not only their physical, but their mental and emotional well-being. 89% of employees believe that employers should offer some kind of mental health benefit. 75% of employees want their employers to prioritize their well-being. And 87% of employees expect their employer to support them in balancing work and personal commitments. So there's already a big want there for employees. And if you can't keep employees happy, then they're just going to go somewhere else. Here's some of the top organizations that are already embracing holistic programs. So Google is one of them. You know, they offer mindfulness and meditation programs on site. Apple, another one. They provide wellness challenge, mental health support. Microsoft, Salesforce, Deloitte, and I've actually had the pleasure of working with Royal Caribbean, I've been working with them ongoing in actually implementing some of this stuff into their programs, and they absolutely love it. So a lot of these major organizations out there are looking for people like us to help them with the holistic approach to eliminating stress. Because if they can eliminate the stress, then they are going to go much farther and they're going to retain more employees. So just with all of that, there's a growing need for innovative stress management solutions. And, you know, with the increasing demand for comprehensive wellness programs, there is a significant opportunity for hypnotists and hypnotherapists to use hypnosis as an intervention for work-related stress. So as more and more employers start to recognize the importance of mental health and emotional well-being, they're now more open to exploring these new holistic approaches to support their employees. And a lot of them can be found on LinkedIn. So some of the companies that I'm working with for this pilot research have been found on LinkedIn. And I was surprised at some of the companies that were responding. So these big companies actually are willing to listen. And of course, you know, when you're dealing with the corporate audience, we kind of have to cut to the chase, right? We gotta dispel the myths about hypnosis right out the gate, because when you're dealing with the business centric audience, they want the science, they want to know the logic behind it, right? So we start off by dispelling myths. You know, hypnosis, one of the biggest myths is that it's unsafe and that people are going to lose control. But as we all know, hypnosis is extremely safe. It's it's not so regulated, however, but it is a technique that is approved by the APA. And participants are always in control. They can never be made to do or say anything against their will. Another myth is, I'll get stuck in hypnosis. Fun fact, nobody has ever been stuck in hypnosis indefinitely. The state can easily be terminated by simply opening your eyes, standing up. And then the other myth that only certain people can be hypnotized. Now, the majority of people can enter a state of hypnosis as it is a naturally occurring state. So the majority of people will be able to move into hypnosis as long as they keep an open mind and they are open to it. So these are just some of the myths that you want to dispel right out the gate. And also, we'll talk a little bit about the difference between stage hypnosis versus clinical hypnosis. So stage hypnosis is for entertainment purposes. It's used for entertainments and shows. It's a lot of fun. It's about perception control. It's often going to portray hypnosis as a tool to control people, or to get them to do funny, silly things, bark like a dog, quack like a chicken, that kind of thing. There's a lack of therapeutic intent there. It's not designed for therapeutic purposes or to address any psychological issues. Now, clinical hypnosis, on the other hand, is more of what it is that we're not necessarily doing clinical aspects of it, but we're doing a more therapeutic. We're moving into these sessions with an intent. So with clinical hypnosis, there's ethical standards. It's going to be conducted by a trained and certified professional who's going to adhere to the ethical guidelines. Focus on well-being. So the goal of these sessions are to help individuals manage stress, reduce anxiety, improve focus, and address specific psychological issues in a clinical environment. Also, it's a controlled environment. So usually these sessions are going to be conducted in an office. They're going to be conducted in a center that the organization may have on site. But it's a safe environment where they can feel comfortable. And now that we've cleared all of that, we'll talk a little bit about what is hypnosis. It's a naturally occurring altered state of mind where communication with the subconscious mind is present. When you move into a hypnotic state, it's going to allow for access to the subconscious, where we can bypass the critical factor of the mind and move into the subconscious mind, where all of the habits, emotions, and everything is stored in there. Now, hypnosis is grounded in psychological and neuroscientific research. So it is effective in managing stress, reducing anxiety, enhancing mental well-being, and even relaxation. And during hypnosis, suggestions are given to the subconscious mind, targeting specific pathways and patterns of thinking. And the benefits of hypnosis is that it's an effective stress reducer. So hypnosis can easily help somebody reactivate their parasympathetic nervous system. It allows people to achieve deep relaxation, reducing stress and anxiety levels. It's going to provide enhanced focus and productivity. So after hypnosis, we'll feel more clear-minded. It's going to help them have that clarity so they can concentrate and go about their day just feeling better. They're able to perform at their peak. Improved emotional resilience. So hypnosis can help employees to develop coping mechanisms that is going to make them more strong and resilient to those workplace challenges that they face daily. And it's evidence-based. Hypnosis is supported by science-backed research, which has shown and demonstrated time over time that it is very effective and can be used to help various conditions, including stress and anxiety. Now we get into the fun stuff. So how do we integrate hypnotherapy into corporate wellness programs? So there's several ways that you can do this. We can do stress management workshops that are specifically geared towards reducing stress. You can break them out into mindfulness, breath work, and relaxation sessions. And then we can do customized employee well-being programs. And now I'll just dive into a little more detail for each one of these. So with stress management workshops, these are going to provide employees with effective techniques to manage and reduce stress through hypnotherapy. Now, these sessions are interactive. They'll focus on utilizing practical tools and strategies to help employees achieve a calmer, more focused state of being. And in these sessions, I always start the sessions with a certain flow, right? We want to always introduce ourselves, obviously, do some pre-education on hypnosis. You want to identify whether there's any fear or any misconceptions before we even start doing anything with hypnosis. This is very important. And then question and answer any questions that the audience has about hypnosis. Understand whether, some participants there maybe have experienced it. And then I always end my sessions with delivering suggestions. So I like to get a group consensus, identify how the group is feeling. What are some of the things that they really need? What are some of the things they feel like they're lacking? And then we'll develop some suggestions for them that will be used, during the hypnosis session. I always do take-home techniques as well. So I like to leave the group with something to take home, something that they can utilize after the session. So it could be an EFT technique. It could be a deep breathing technique, a breathwork technique, or what I usually do in these is I'll do a custom audio recording. So anybody that attended the session will receive a recording of that specific programming that we created for them, so that they have that as a resource to de-stress and to reprogram their subconscious to start feeling the ways that they want to feel. And then we move into our hypnosis. We'll do a non-physical induction, do some progressive relaxation. We do some autogenic training there, where we relax and tense certain part of the bodies. This is very helpful in reducing stress. Visualization and then suggestion delivery, and then I dehypnotize. Then we do some sharing and final thoughts, and then I deliver the audio to the group. This is what a typical session would look like for me, and usually these sessions are going to run about an hour to an hour and a half. We have to bear in mind that these are companies, corporations, so they don't like to take their employees off not even the sales floor, but off the floor for so long, right? So like usually you're lucky if you're going to get an hour and a half, but I try to keep it to about an hour for these group settings. And the benefits are they're immediately going to be able to reduce stress right after the session. They'll feel much lighter, more calm. They'll have coping mechanisms, and then they'll be able to go about their day feeling more productive and more focused. All right, so let's move forward. Then you can take a different approach. You can do mindfulness. You can do some breath work or different relaxations depending upon what it is you're trained in. I did breath work recently at a WeWork, and it was in a group breath work setting, and they were very open to having somebody come in, and they actually have different people come in every other week to do things like this. So companies like that are also looking at, and breath work was something they were really interested in. So you can do different things with mindfulness, right? Mindfulness is great because again, it's going to allow them to feel their emotions but not become them. This is the issue at hand. They can analyze it, but it's not going to impact them, right? So mindfulness is great at just having that awareness. And then you can do progressive relaxation. You can do guided visualizations. Really, there's really no stopping you here. It really depends on what it is that the client wants. So that's why when I'm presenting this to the client, they have the options, and they usually will tell you what exactly it is that they need. So if it's more of a production thing and they need something for stress, then you're probably going to be doing more stress reduction techniques. But if they need to re-energize their staff midday because energy is low, then maybe they might want to try some breath work throughout the day to re-energize their staff, right? Different things that you can do. And again, same session layout, always introduce yourself, your pre-education on hypnosis, Q&A, and then you always deliver suggestions with any kind of work that I do. So it's always good to just know what your people want, so that way you can feed it back to them at the end of your session when you're delivering your suggestions. And this is where it gets very lucrative and very, now we're talking about customized programs, right? So usually when a client is going to do a customized program, it's because they've had you come in, they really like it, their employees love it, and now they want something that's going to be targeted. So customized employee well-being programs are designed to meet the unique needs of different departments and individual employees. So these flexible programs include tailored solutions. So you can focus on department by department, whether it's sales department, training, and then this is where you can do one-on-one sessions with their employees. By providing this customized level of care, now we're ensuring that all employees are receiving the support they need to enhance their well-being and performance. And then it allows you to, to really dig deep, right? So now we're not just doing the surface level stuff that you can only do in groups, but now you're able to work one-on-one with the leadership team or with the executive team to help them uncover some of the things that are holding them back and to really work with them one-on-one, right? So some organizations will ask like, hey, well, all right, well, let's buy 100 sessions and we want all of our employees to have access to be able to do sessions. This is one thing that an organization has brought up to me, and we're in the works of putting something together. But these are the kinds of things that is very appealing, because if they have an executive that is not performing or meeting their goals, then it's very advantageous for them to have somebody come in and figure out, well, what's going on? How can we fix it? Instead of having to like fire them and find somebody new. It's just a bit much more of a headache to do all of that. So the benefits of this, you're targeting the solution, you have enhanced employee performance, and then the program is just more effective because now we're targeting employees at the individual level. And just some of the benefits of corporate wellness are going to be improved employee health. These programs are going to encourage healthier lifestyles, which is going to lead to reduced healthcare costs and fewer sick days, reduce absenteeism by promoting physical and mental well-being. Wellness programs can decrease absenteeism rates and ensure employees are present and productive. And then it's really going to work to enhance performance and productivity, because when you think about it, when you are stressed out, you have a foggy mind, it's hard to get anything done, right? So just by reducing stress and improving mental clarity through these wellness programs, that's going to boost overall employee performance and productivity. And then it's going to enhance job satisfaction and retention, because employees are going to feel like if their employer cares for them, they're going to feel supported by their organization, and they're going to be more likely to be satisfied with their job and remain loyal to the organization. So it's big on retention. All right, and the implementation plan. So it's a simple process to uncover, what kind of program you might be able to offer for a particular client. Is starting out with an initial consultation and assessment. You're going to meet with key stakeholders to understand the organizational needs and goals. There's a lot of wellness coordinators out there that are actually the ones that you will be talking to if you decide to implement this into your business. But wellness coaches, anybody that is in charge of employee benefits, employee wellness, those are the ones that I've had the most traction with. And then you'll conduct a thorough assessment of the employee stress levels and wellness needs. So you'll usually understand this when you're speaking with the decision maker. They'll tell you what exactly has been going on and what was appealing to them for them to reach out to you. And then program design and customization is the second step, is developing the tailored hypnotherapy program based on the feedback you get from the client. You customize the workshop based on what the customer needs. What do they need? Is it going to be a stress workshop? Is it going to be a breath work workshop? Is it going to be a mindfulness? So you really customize that down based on what their needs are. And then you get out there. Once you have that set up, then you would get out there and do a pilot, right? And you can charge for this, obviously. I've been working with this pilot program because I'm doing research. So I'm not charging at the moment for the handful of companies that I'm working with, but this whole project was with the purpose of monetizing this by the end of it. So this is going to give us the data that we need to know as to how successful this can be, right? So as of now, this is a pilot for me for the organizations I'm working with. The cost has not been fully discussed, or it's going to vary. It's going to vary by client by client. It's going to be based on the amount of employees that they have. How many people are you serving in these sessions? So there's a lot that comes down to the pricing, but just have a general idea. It's anywhere, like for one of these sessions, anywhere in the range of like $2,500 to $3,500 is what I've seen is the average in the market at the moment. And just based on the conversations that I've had with some of these organizations, although they weren't paying, these are the discussions we had in terms of pricing, should they continue to do this after the study. And those price points were 100% a-okay with the clients. Remember, we're dealing with corporations here, so some of these organizations have allocated budgets specifically for employee wellness. And then in your final step, once you've been out there and they love you, then you can full scale implement this as an ongoing service that you provide to this organization, whether you're out there every month or every other month, or whether you're doing one-on-one sessions virtually now with those employees from your office. That's how this can all play out. So this is the method, the method to the madness. And now I will open this up for some Q&A. And if anybody has any questions about this research, feel free to scan the QR code.
Cool.
And you can connect with me on my channels. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has about this research that I'm doing here.
Awesome. It's really exciting. So just a quick clarification question, because I was watching and I heard it's 2,500 to 3,500 a session. That's for the initial group session, right? So that would be, and how long would you expect to show up for something that they call a session with their company?
So I would say that it's usually going to be about an hour and a half, usually. So like an hour and a half is a good enough time for you to get in there, have a little good talk, education, and then do your session. Sometimes they only want to do an hour, but an hour is kind of tricky when you're dealing with a lot of group of people, right? So I feel like an hour and a half is perfect.
Right. And so Heidi's question is how many people are on those sessions? That's going to vary for who you're showing up to serve. Is that right?
It varies by organization, right? So like, for example, when I did this with Royal Caribbean, it wasn't their entire employee because they have a ton of employees. So it was only a group of like 30 people, right? So and those are questions that you want to ask when you are doing your initial consult, right? So that way you know exactly how many people are you going to be serving. So that way you know how to charge, right? Because you're obviously going to want to charge more. If it's 100 people, then you're probably going to charge a little bit more, right? So
So I think my question actually comes before because I've seen a lot of discussion lately about how to bring our work into the corporate setting because they need us, right? They absolutely need us. But that people are asking, how can I avoid the word hypnosis because of the negative connotations? And that's part of why we're here with the HEA, is to educate people about, hypnosis.
Yeah, certainly.
But it sounds to me like you are going straight in. You're saying this is what we do, and you're educating the wellness coordinator in the first place, and they're saying yes, which I think is really incredibly empowering and important for people to hear. Is that
know what's being used?
We can do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and one of the first people to say yes was Royal Caribbean, right? One of their wellness coordinators was like, hey, we really think what you're doing is like really unique and cool. We'd love to have a call about this. Let's jump on a call. So, we had a call, Discovery did a presentation for them just like this, and they saw the value, and it became this thing where, I've been back and forth with Royal Caribbean. They've invited me to several of their different locations to go in and actually work with their employees because they're loving it. So it's been a fun experience. Just kind of doing this, and I didn't expect it to kind of turn into this, but this is what it's become, and because there is a need out there. So now part of my business is going to be focused on specifically, attaining these clients once I wrap up this research. So
All right.
Then we have Marja.
And Marcia, do you have a question that you wanted to come off mute and ask?
Sure, thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry, the lights are kind of glaring right now.
it's all right. You got stars.
Looks cool.
Actually, I was just wondering, Joe, if you could explain a little bit about, in order to charge this $2,500 for a group session, what prior experience did you bring? Or, did you have a high rate for one-on-one clients beforehand? Or sort of just wondering,
well, yeah, and yes and yes. So I've been busy with my personal one-on-one clients. And I usually charge at the price point of like, I'm in Miami, right? So like I'll charge 300 a session is what I normally charge just on a one-off, but I usually work with packages here with most of my clients. So I normally charge like $1,500 for a package with my client, just on average, right? So that'll cover them for 5 sessions, or depending upon how much they need. Usually we get it done sooner, but it depends, right? So with the market, I did some research before I just threw pricing out there, obviously, because I wanted to know who's out here doing this and what are they charging. And there's a handful of hypnotherapists that are out there that do this, and this is all they do. So like I've noticed that the ones that are doing it, this is all they do. And they have websites that are specifically dedicated to this brand. And just by looking at a few, like they're up there, 2,500, 3,000 for a group session with 25 employees, some of them are doing like 1 to 2 hours, but again, it's going to be tricky. Not a lot of employers are going to want to give you 2 full hours. So if you can get it, great.
Mhm.
But it's usually an hour and a half to an hour to an hour and a half.
and Joe, how many years of experience do you have? I'm sorry, I missed the beginning.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. So I have over 15 years of business experience. So I have my MBA, and I am like doing this research as part of my DBA to finish my doctoral of business administration. So I'll have over 15 years of experience in business. So this really kind of meshed well with me just as a person. And then as far as hypnotherapy goes, I've been in practice for about 2 years now. So it's 2 years.
Mhm. So I think what I'm hearing is that it doesn't matter what you charge per session, or we shouldn't be charging per session. That's my opinion. But it doesn't matter what your package price is. Hopefully you're charging what it should be, not undercharging.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you've been a hypnotist for a very long time to do this either. If you've got, the leadership in you, which, been in business for 15 years, or if you've got the confidence and you can deliver this, whether it's leadership or really love of what you do.
Yeah.
Right. If you can show up and you're like, I am going to bless these people who are stressed to the max right here, right now. That's all you need. And then to develop your presentation so that it's obviously giving results. Right. But in order to step into this role, I'm hearing you don't have to have been a hypnotist for a really long time or anything like the pricing is already out there. Like the market already will bear that for you to step in and do the work.
Yeah.
And then so you haven't gone much further with the pricing, but I'm just curious to know. So let's say, Royal Caribbean said, we love you and we'd love to now allocate a chunk of our budget to your working one-to-one with these specific people. As you said, there's probably people in their organization, their executives who are burned out, or they need, whatever's going on. Maybe they've got something, they're struggling in their personal life. And so therefore their sales are slacking, whatever the heck it is, but they know. And I say, here, do you have any idea what those kinds of prices are, what they look like? Great, let's hear it.
So I'll share with you guys a little bit on that. So
Awesome.
I do have a proposal out there with Royal Caribbean, and let's just say it's over $100,000 contract to actually work with their employees, just basically 100%. So like if I were to get that contract, then I'd be fully booked and busy. But
You'd be fully booked and busy is right. You
fully
probably
booked
need to
and
hire more
busy.
people for Viva Hypnotherapy.
Exactly.
What a problem to have. Like
I know.
more
So
people getting hypnosis. This is just wonderful. What a
yeah.
wonderful.
So
Yeah.
like obviously with bulk pricing, right? If you want to take that into consideration. So like they said, okay, well, what are you going to charge for 100 sessions, right? Let's say, or 1,000 sessions, right? Then you got to think about, okay, well, what are you normally charging for your time, right? So if you're charging 300 a session, obviously you're not going to charge that because it's such a bulk thing, but it came out somewhere along the lines of like it averaged out to like almost like $100 a session or something, right? So it was like in the lines of that, but it was because such a volume was there, right? So that was the only thing. And then the other thing too is it would be a little bit less a shorter session, right? It's not necessarily going to be like
The 90 minutes
an,
that you might give to a
exactly an
client who's
hour
got
and
a
a half.
package of 5, right?
Yeah, because
Right. You're
they're
dealing, it's get in there. And
Might be a 30-minute quick fix.
exactly. Yep. 45, hour
Mhm.
max.
Yep.
So it's more you're moving through a lot more of them faster. And so yeah.
And I think Heidi had a question.
Yeah, Heidi's question was, the first one was how many people are in your sessions, but I think we got that. Where is the best place to find evidence-based research about hypnosis?
There's actually a cool group
Yeah.
called evidence-based research, or
Yeah, it's true.
evidence-based hypnosis that some of our peeps belong
But
to.
I say Google.
Yeah, Google.
Google white pages or white papers. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And if
Google.
you want to get like actual research studies and just put journal article in the back of your search, and then you'll just pull up a whole ton of studies. And there's even some studies already in this out of India that these guys are already doing it over there and testing it out and doing
Wow.
research on it. So there's not a lot of research here in the US for it. So I'm hoping that this adds to it, right? And right now we haven't done analysis on the actual numbers, like because we're surveying before and after, right? So what is the experience like? How are you feeling before and how are you feeling after, right? Because I want to know, like, okay, are we having an impact here? Which
Right.
I
So you
already know
have
we
fewer
are.
sick days. You have fewer sick days. Do you have fewer people? So let's just talk about what are the symptoms of burnout, right? So burnout is a mental health syndrome defined by the World Health Organization as a mental syndrome from unmitigated workplace stress. Do I sound like World Health Organization? And the first is that overwhelmed. They can't even rest when they do have a break, right? That their brain is actually starting to change. 2 is they are disconnected from the work, no passion, could care less, right? So this team member that used to be all jazzed up is just like, and 3, unproductive. So hello, if the corporation can't track productivity in their employees, like what? So those are the things they can actually track the productivity point, and they can track the sick days, less sick days, because they say that up to 95% of doctors' visits are due to stress or for issues that resulted from stress. So here you go. You're in there helping them reduce their stress in all kinds of ways.
I was going to say, to add to that, that if you are a hypnotherapist, hypnotist that focuses on burnout, then this might be a great,
it might be
gravy
just
niche. You never know.
But even if it's not burnout, whatever it is, it could be wellness. You could be focused on the physical wellness of these people, or sales for that matter. I know there's got to be a massive market for that. I've had people walk into my office and say, "Do you work with sales teams?" I'm like, I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do. Thank you. So,
and that's my niche is the sales aspect of it, because
totally.
I've done it for so long. And yeah, I've done some outreach on LinkedIn, and some of the stuff I'm getting back is like, oh my God, I wish you were around when I needed you. Like, I'm out of sales now due to this, so salespeople are very stressed out.
Yeah, they're very stressed out. So Heidi had another question about, do you do, as part of your research, are you doing a questionnaire for them, like before and after? Is that part of the?
Yeah, I am. It's part of the research, and it's also helpful to do it even if you're not doing the research, right? Because you want to know what they think about it. What do they think about it? And I like to know what what the audience thinks about hypnosis when I get there, and then I like to know how they feel about it after, right? What do they think now? Because a lot of the times you come into these, you don't know who you're dealing with. You get all kinds of employees, right? So you have a mixed bag, and some are so into it, and then others are like, oh, well, I don't really believe that, or that kind of thing, right? So you want to know who you're dealing with, and so I feel like questionnaires are very helpful in assessing, like, where they're at, and then to see where they're at after you've done some work with them, and to see how it's affecting.
Awesome. And Marja? Or is it Marija? Sorry.
That's okay. Actually, my name is Maria.
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 Okay. I should know that. Maria. Maria.
So along the lines of this questionnaire question, do you have every participant sign a disclosure form, or if it's a corporate setting, does the company sign that?
So, like, when I first started doing it, I would just take the form in and have them sign it, just to make sure, right? Because you want to make sure that you're covered. So, like, you want to get them to sign that before you start doing any kind of hypnosis, just so that way they are signing off on it, that they're doing it at their own will and nobody's like making them do it, right? Also, that it's voluntary, right? That these sessions are voluntary. They're not like, just because the employer is offering it, it doesn't mean that they have to participate, right? So you always want to make it voluntary, because again, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about hypnosis, and some people may believe that it goes against their belief systems and things like that. So you have to be very respectful of that aspect of it. So yeah, it's a good thing to always.
That's an important question. Thank you.
Yeah. So you're better off just taking it in there yourself and having them just do it real quick before you get started, so that way you're covered. Because sometimes you rely on the organization and they just don't get it done in time, or not everybody does it, and then you're there and it's like, okay, well, I don't have everybody's sheet, so you got to get all that taken care of first before you can start, so it eats into your time.
Excellent. Wow. Goodness. Well, it's of no surprise to me that this would really, get me excited. I've been thinking about this for ages. I'm like, well, how could I fit that into my life? I would love to be able to go in. And I'll just tell real quickly, when I opened my practice downtown Newport Richey, Florida, is where my office is, the reason I opened it was to serve the local business owners. Like, my goal was to serve the business owners and help them to feel, all the benefits that I'd felt from getting hypnotherapy myself as a business owner. And instead, what happened is I definitely have had a wonderful clients that are the local business owners, because I've made a point of it, and they're great referral partners. But then Google sent me everyone. Google just sent me every different kind of client you could possibly get under the sun, and we serve them because that's what we do. We're there, So I've been thinking about how I could get back into that, my initial impetus, and get back into that world and serve those who are at the level of influence of others, because that's the point. Like, I wanted to influence the local business owners so that the town would literally, it's like a ripple effect of love, like. And so if we work with the executives in corporate, then what do we get to do? Like, there's literally a trickle down of, people who can breathe and, feel, more resourceful in their bodies, and they're not stressed out to the max and losing their self. So I just think it's brilliant. Thank you, Joe. Seriously, for inspiring me. And I hope that this inspires those of you who are watching live and on the replay. And if you have been inspired by Joe, please drop him a great big thank you in the Facebook group or on YouTube if you're here. And we look forward to hearing more about your research and the outcomes. You will come back and share with us, won't you?
So hopefully next month I'll be back to share with the final findings, because I'll be done by then. So
brilliant. Awesome.
Yes.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? If not, we'll wrap tonight, and I'll say thank you very much, Joe.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting.
All right.
It was a pleasure meeting everybody.
Thank you for joining us on HEA's HypnoConnect, the podcast by the Hypnosis Education Association, a not-for-profit organization serving the hypnosis community since 1998. Proudly sponsored by HypnoBiz in a Box, the all-in-one platform for building a thriving hypnosis practice without burnout. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow, leave a review, and share it with a fellow hypnotist. Ready to grow with a supportive educational community? Join the HEA today and help us spread the word about the nature, uses, and benefits of hypnosis. Visit us at hypnosiseducationassociation.com. And if you're looking to get started, streamline, or scale your hypnosis business, head on over to hypnobizinabox.com, where you'll attract steady clients, generate reliable income, and be supported by a community of like-minded hypnosis professionals. Until next time, find a hypno-buddy, stay inspired, and stay connected to HEA's HypnoConnect.